They're gonna talk during stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the August 25th Lititz Borough Council Meeting. I'd like to start off the meeting by handing it over to the mayor for the invocation, if we are so.
Thank you, Scott. Is Pastor Leyland in the room? Because I'm not sure I recognize everybody. No, so we don't have any benediction tonight.
Okay, so we will move right along to the pledge.
At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes from the July 28th meeting. Does anyone have any comments about those meetings or would like to make a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. I would like to announce that we did have an executive session before this meeting to discuss legal and real estate issues that would started at 6 o'clock. So next we will need to move to, we have two hearings this evening. So we close this meeting and we open the meeting for the two hearings. The first would be for ordinance 627, the acceptance of Hensley Street in Sutter Meadow. I'm going to hand that over to Mr. Yurt.
Thank you. I believe, Deb, are you here today? Yes, there you are. Would you like to come up and discuss the dedication? No? That's quite all right. I can kind of cover it. We have no, it's okay. You're welcome. You guys are the ones that are requesting, so I don't want to steal your thunder.
We recently paid Hensley about a week and a half ago, did all the repairs required by Tyler, and cleaned the storm inlets, and we like to dedicate Hensley.
So this was a condition of the land development plan that was approved back in 2021. Public Works and our engineers have reviewed it. Everything seems to be in order. I do have the financial security for the dedication here. And at this point, I'm not aware of any issues. So, but if there are public comments, that should be open for discussion.
Do any council members have any comments on this? Does anyone in the public have any comments related to the dedication of Hensley? If you do, if you could come up to the microphone and state your name and make your comments.
Good evening, council members. My name is Gregory Marconi, and I'm the president of the Sutter's Meadow HOA board, and I live at 114 Meadows Bend. I'm here tonight regarding the dedication of Hensley Street and several outstanding infrastructure concerns in our neighborhood. I understand that dedication is an important part of the development process, and I'm not asking the borough to prevent it. I'm just asking that the borough make sure that these issues are fully resolved before the developer's financial hold is released. Our biggest concern is the stormwater basin. We were previously told that a final survey would be completed, but as recently as August 20th, our HOA had not received confirmation that the survey or any remaining basin work was complete. That same day, we experienced significant flooding on Hensley Street, with water flowing from Marion Street, General Sutter Avenue, and Golden Street toward the basin. We have also have outstanding sewer concerns on Meadows Bend that was never confirmed as resolved, and several street trees that were planted in the dead of winter and didn't survive spring and will need replacement. There is another concern I believe that is important for the borough to understand. The developer moved quickly to turn control of the community over to the HOA last winter, leaving the new board with limited information about decisions that had already been made. The management company selected by the developer also did not have documentation for a number of previous contracts and other important community records, and went out of business early this year and has made the transition to a new management company at the suggestion of the developer and previous board messy at best. As a result, the current board has been left trying to determine what commitments were made, what work was approved, and what obligations actually exist. This puts the current HOA board and ultimately the homeowners of Sutter's Meadow in a difficult position. Our request to the council is straightforward. Before the developer's financial hold is released, please confirm that the stormwater basin has been properly surveyed and approved, the sewer issue has been resolved, and required site cleanup is complete, and any remaining deficiencies or obligations are properly secured by the developer. We are the residents who will ultimately live with these infrastructure decisions long after the developer is gone. We simply want to make sure that these issues are addressed while the borough still has the ability to require corrective action and while the developer remains financially responsible. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you for your comments. Did you want to clarify the two separate procedures that the borough goes through with the developer on a project like this?
Yes, as he noted, the dedication is a separate process. We do have financial security for the development in the amount of $150,000 roughly. And many of the issues that he noted were addressed by our engineer during the last financial security release, which was in May. So at this point, we are aware that the stormwater basin needs to be looked at and vegetated. There are certain things like the outfall that needs to be stabilized. I believe the silt socks in the road were removed on Monday, so that I think is what the netting was, and that trees need to be replaced as well. So happy to give you my card afterwards, and when this comes up on the agenda, I'll let you know. But they'll have to make the requests, and they'll go on the agenda for approval before any additional financial security.
Thank you. Okay. Can you remind me of the process, Elijah?
So this one would be this would be the adoption of the ordinance, which would accept just Hensley at this point. The water and the sewer will be under agreements.
Okay.
The sewer is essentially a head nod for acceptance from council, and then the authority would execute the deed at their meeting in October.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else to add? You're good?
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You need.
No, now, can you hear me? Is there any language we can put in there that would address the timeline for some of the things that were talked about tonight?
I think with the structure of this with the development, it's a separate process. The developer did secure or put up financial security to make sure all of these other things are done. Everything like they're talking about the stormwater and the other issues that are all to be taken care of. So there's money set aside. The developer needs to ask for release of that at some point. If at some point down the road it's determined that they aren't done satisfactorily, the borough could take those funds to complete those improvements if they needed to. That's not a desired option, but it is an option that's out there to pull the financial security and to complete those improvements. But these two things kind of run parallel, not on top of each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this ordinance right now is just the road, and they actually have financial security for 18 months guarantee for anything that goes wrong with the road. So if they had concerns with the road's condition, that would be something to be considered for this ordinance. But at this point, if there's nothing concerned with the road, then we have to just look at this request for just the road dedication.
Yeah, and our public works director and our engineer have both looked at the road and have stated that they're satisfied that it's ready to be dedicated. A plus of it being dedicated is, for the residents at least, is then that becomes something that's in the winter is plowed by the borough and is taken care of like all of the rest of the streets within the borough that are public.
Correct. And it just should be mentioned, just for clarification, that Meadow Bend is not up for dedication and is to remain as a private street.
Does that help? Okay, so would someone be interested in making a motion to approve ordinance 627?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 627 for the acceptance of Henley Street in Sutter's Meadow.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next we'll move on to ordinance 628, downtown solar accessory structure and accessory structure demolition zoning ordinance amendments.
I can speak to this as well. So this is a zoning ordinance that was developed and approved by the Planning Commission. It was reviewed with the HAC. It's largely a housekeeping ordinance. It's fixing some loopholes, fixing some strange language, but the two big substantive parts are removal of the requirement that historic accessory structures have to go through the demolition review process. As council knows, you've had many of these over the years. Oftentimes, these are small garages that aren't actually large enough to fit modern vehicles, and they've pretty much gone through the process and been approved. The other is actually allowing solar panels in the downtown historic district, which we currently have a prohibition on. This essentially allows them to be approved by right if they can't be seen from the street. And if they can be seen from the street, they go through the same process as any other change to a historic building and will be reviewed by HAC for zoning approval. But there's a few other things like making sure that if you have an electric vehicle, you have to park the correct way. You can't park opposite, which is pretty clear if you look at it, but we just felt that was worth clarification. And there's probably a few other things that I'm missing, but those are kind of the big highlights.
These were all thoroughly vetted out by the planning commission and then where appropriate, the historical.
Correct.
Hey, do you have any comments on that, Brad? I know you were involved in that process.
No, I mean, it was, they did a good job. I was surprised that they were so passionate about the historical district having solar panels within sight. So they were actually going to vote it down until we gave them a month to think about it and satisfied their conditions.
Good. Good. And again, the demolition is only for accessory structures. Principal structures were not included in this modification to the ordinance.
Correct. Principal structures, regardless of whether they're on the historic resource inventory or not, still have to go through the demolition review process.
Okay. Any questions from council members on these changes? I think they've been around for a little bit. No? Anyone in the audience like to speak to any of the changes that are being proposed to the zoning ordinance? And I assume nobody online. I didn't ask last time, but okay. So I'd look for a motion on ordinance 628.
I'll make a motion for acceptance of ordinance 628, the downtown solar accessory structure demolition zoning amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope. So that one passes. I think now we'll close the hearings and we'll move on with the rest of our meeting. First, we're going to start off with the 2026 library funding referendum.
Hi, Carolyn Rice, the Executive Director of the Lititz Public Library. Of course, as always, I want to start off by thanking Borough Council. Without the support that we've received from you over these many years, the library would not look at all what it looks like today. So just wanted to thank you again for your support. And on the next slide, you will see a little glance at what that looks like. So just very quickly, just a look at the support that the council provides for our residents, and then some of the things that are part of our mission and value statement, economic development, obviously, our public computers, our Wi-Fi, our hotspots, our tech training, things like that. We produce strong families with our story times, family programming, education, again, part of the Department of Education. We, have databases, language learning. We do lots of presentations like that, our 1,000 books before kindergarten, and then stewardship of our public funds. That's one of the core facets of our values at the library, and part of that is the construction of the library, maintaining our public building, reducing hold times and things like that. So just very quick, a little brief overview for you. I know you got a long one today. And then just again, quick glance at our capital campaign progress. Currently, all of the expansions, all the extensions of the building are now complete. We are working on our storage. And then on Monday, we're going to start our children's programming side of the library, the renovation of that. That'll take us about 2 months. And we're still on track for a mid-December completion of the project. And anyone here, anyone on council, again, as always, is welcome to come out to the library. Happy to give you a tour of anything that we're doing, the new building or any part of the old building as well. Always happy to do that. Okay. All right, so this is why I'm actually here today. So the library, I've said it many times before, has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. So again, a lot of that is due to the tech stuff that we do, our digital collections, our Wi-Fi hotspots, our workforce development help, the technology training, as well as the social connection that we provide. Since the library opened in 1999, in its current location, we have had an increase of people attending our programs of 295%. So people are really coming in, using the library in different ways. Demand is continuing to grow while our funding model, unfortunately, is becoming a bit unstable. So this is our current library funding. Obviously, we have a large portion of it comes from donations, which is so absolutely lovely. We do receive state funding. Our municipal support, obviously, is something that we depend on quite a bit. Fundraising, that includes stuff that the Friends do for us, our book sales, our jewelry sales, things like that. A little bit of grants and a little bit of county funding as well. So as you can see, unlike many libraries in Pennsylvania, we do not have a dedicated library tax. So unfortunately, what that means, a lot of times, instead of being able to add services, we are kind of figuring out, spending time fundraising, writing those grants, figuring out what needs to be cut, figuring out how to replace some of that lost funding that we've seen over the last few years. So we have lost some databases. We just recently lost our movie license. Our digital materials are continuing to become increasingly more expensive, and they are increasingly in demand with our community. Our hold times are growing. Our building is obviously aging, which is why we're doing the capital campaign. Technology is aging. And so we are just seeking to provide some stable funding for the library so that we are able to better plan for the long term. You can go next one. Thank you, Rob. So what the referendum is, it is, we are collecting signatures to create a dedicated library countywide tax. And a referendum means that the voters get to decide whether or not they would like to put it on the ballot. So we are collecting the signatures. I take this everywhere, so if anyone would like to add their signature to it, signing this petition, it is not voting yes, it is not voting no. It is merely saying that you would like the opportunity to let the voters decide whether or not they would like to have this tax when it comes down out in November. And it is a dedicated library tax. It does not go to any countywide services. It directly comes to the libraries. At this point in my presentation, no one, everywhere I've gone, no one cares about the rest of the slides. Everyone just starts asking questions, which is totally fine. It's up to council. If you want to open the floor, usually I end up answering anything else I have or any questions that you guys have about the referendum.
Sure. Thanks. So you would like to see if any council members have questions now?
Yeah, I mean, we can keep going, but usually everyone just stops me here and just starts asking questions, which I'm happy to answer.
Yeah.
So whatever you guys
I mean,
prefer.
if you have
is
them
fine.
prepared, go ahead and
Okay. All right. Then Rob.
we'll answer the question.
Okay. Again, this is just an idea of what it costs. The median home value in Lititz Borough is a little bit more expensive than the average for the rest of Lancaster County. But about this is, about $8 a month is what it is expected to be. And then this is just an idea of where the money goes. So currently, the library system is almost entirely funded by the county. So those countywide services come directly to us. So, things that Lititz uses every single day, our delivery, our IT, catalog, all of those things. And then the libraries would continue to fund what we normally do, collections, staff, hours, programs, etc. What this means for the library. So one of our big goals is reducing our wait times, adding more digital books, additional programming, being able to recruit and retain staff, maintaining our facility, increasing our library of things. We're currently the only library in the county who does not have any fees on our children's materials. We'd like to extend that to our adult materials and just being able to do more. There's a lot more demand, and we'd just like to be able to try to answer that. Yep, just some questions. We cannot raise the tax later. We are not a taxing authority, so we are not able to do that. It would have to go back on another referendum, and we are not planning on doing that right now. Again, does signing mean voting yes? No, it does not. Money is purely 100% going to the libraries. There is a political action committee that has worked on developing a distribution formula. We currently have a distribution formula both on our county funding and our state funding. So it is fairly similar to what those are going to look like. So a little bit of the formula is based on like economic distress. There's a little bit based on how many items we circulate. A few other things in the formula. And then why now? Just because, like I said, our funding is becoming increasingly unstable, and we have to. Are there any questions?
Anyone on council have any questions they'd like to ask about the presentation?
Yeah, I'd be curious. You had a slide there that said that it would cost the average resident $8 a month. Is that correct?
Yep.
So I understand you don't want to charge people for material, but would it be a little better to charge the people that are using that than rather than the people that aren't possibly?
Yeah, so I get that. And of course, I understand, nobody wants their taxes to go up. I think that I wouldn't expect everyone to use every public service that they contribute to. And I think, contributing to our prisons, our schools, our roads, things like that, that I don't go on every road in Lancaster County, but I want them to be available for anyone who needs to use them. And so I guess the question that I would ask us to consider is whether we believe that libraries provide a community benefit that is worth investing in, even for residents who do not necessarily always use that service. So we provide services to our students, to our seniors, to families, to people who need access to the internet. And I do believe that all of those things provide a benefit to the community overall.
I have some questions. So say this went through, who would control the money?
So it is a countywide tax. So it would go to the county and then they would distribute it to the libraries. Again, that PAC has created a formula, and then the system would distribute it per the formula.
So what do they think that Lititz Public Library would receive?
So it would be about additional $600,000 to our funding.
Okay.
It would also, if you go back to the pie chart, so it would, obviously it would eliminate that purple, the county funding, and it also would lessen our dependence on our municipal partners. We are so grateful. Yes, thanks. We are so grateful to be able to serve your community, and we are honored to be able to serve your community, and we're so grateful for the partnership that we have with our municipalities. But because it would reduce our dependence on that funding that we would receive from you, we would expect that you would be able to use the funds that you currently donate to the library to put back into your community in other ways. So it eliminates some of those things. And we also expect there to be a decrease in the funding that we currently do receive from our regular donors. So some of that yellow, we decrease that by about 80% just to account for, we don't expect people to necessarily donate again if their taxes are going to us. We have seen historically in Pennsylvania, the more and better a library is providing services, we have seen it's very cyclical. So we have seen, a library is doing more and doing better, and people want to support that. And so the more support, the better the library is, and it just kind of goes in a circle. So, so that's kind of what our expectation is as far as that funding goes.
So I'm no math expert,
Okay.
but with it being about the millage of 0.55, that's
is.
about $55 a year for every $100,000
Correct.
assessed. So my taxes would not be $98 a year. It would be $300 or $50, which $350 or more.
Yep.
So what alternatives were considered to, like, before creating this new tax? What were you willing to give up, or cost savings, consolidate, maybe share services before coming to taxpayers to look for them to make up that difference?
Sure. So the last time, so there was a referendum done 20 some years ago. It did obviously fail. It was about 52 to 48%. That it was not voted. And so since then, we have been pursuing many options. We are working with everything on this chart here. There's a lot of sacrifices that the libraries have had to make. Like I said, the databases that have disappeared. We have had a reduction in our summer reading program. We see about 1,500 kids come out to summer reading. We haven't been able to have as many programs. We have to make very difficult decisions. For example, we normally the library system would pay for our audit. And because of the county funding cuts that they received, they are not able to pay for audit. And so we unexpectedly had to pay for our audit. And that's when we got rid of our movie license. We've had to make decisions like, can we get a dehumidifier for our building this year or in 2 years? And unfortunately, it was 2 years. So there's a lot of difficult decisions and cost cutting that we have to do. And I think the libraries, luckily Lititz is an absolutely wonderfully supportive area. And Lititz, as you know, loves Lititz. Very supportive donors here. That's not the case for every library in the county, unfortunately. But there have been a lot of sacrifices that have been, many things have been cut, unfortunately, that we have before we came to this final decision. That's why it's kind of, we have to, is why we're seeking it now.
So the millage tax, that's on houses now. We're going to have reassessments in another year where people's property taxes could be, or their assessments could be doubling. So that 350 could be essentially.
So we
almost.
do have a legal counsel that we're working with to see if if it's the reassessment price right now, or if it's the current assessment that we have. I don't have an answer for it yet. We have a meeting very soon where they will hopefully reveal that information to us. But yes, it is it's the same as a school tax. So, well, yes, the reassessment obviously will affect. It's not going to just go up forever. But yes, I certainly understand that. And again, I do believe that the library provides a benefit that would make the tax make sense for the community.
So this is not on the ballot currently.
We are collecting signatures to be able to put it on the ballot.
Okay.
Yep. So we need 4,612 signatures as a percentage of the number of people who voted in the last election. The signature period is ending next week. We are little less than 2,000 away. So we are hoping to get those signatures.
Okay. Thank you.
Ballot. Yeah. Thanks, Naya. Any other questions of council?
If there are any from council, would anyone in the audience like to ask any questions about the presentation this evening? If not,
okay,
we will end by thanking you for coming out.
Much.
And I believe we'll be seeing you in a couple of months again to chat with us about
yes.
as we get into our budget season and consider the borough's donation. We'd be happy to have you back again.
Yes. Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to the mayor for our next presentation this evening.
All right, thank you. Just a little context for the junior council person or persons. This is a program that Lititz Borough Council has supported for many years. However, it has recently been dormant. So we have resurrected the program, revitalized it to bring it back. Because anytime we can create opportunities for young people to be involved in civic engagement, community service, learning about local government, I think that's a good thing. And I think as far as the council is concerned, to have the opportunity to hear from young people about the concerns of our community is also a good thing. So tonight I'm pleased to have introduced two individuals who were selected out of a group of about 12 to serve as both serve as the junior council representative and as an alternate. So it's my honor to introduce Audrey Mayalis, who will serve as our junior council representative, and Nora Walton, who will serve as the alternate. And so I'd like to take opportunity to have them take the oath of office, and we will start with Audrey. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Audrey Mayalis,
Do solemnly swear,
do solemnly swear
hold, obey, and defend
to uphold, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
discharge the duties of my office
I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you can have a seat, and we'll swear Nora in. Nora, please come forward. And please raise your right hand, Nora, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nora Walton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
And I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you.
Sure. We will get a photo before we're done. Sure.
Would you like-
Yeah, what happened?
Great. I think we don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you could, if you're willing to maybe just say a couple of words about yourself and sort of why you wanted to do this and maybe where you're at right now.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Audrey Mayalis, and just to talk a little bit about the things that I'm currently involved with at school. This fall will be my second year as captain of the cross country team. Actually just had practice before this, so. But I also serve as president of German National Honor Society. I'm also part of National Honor Society, French Honor Society, and History Honor Society. This fall, I'm very excited also to be serving as president of our Mali United Nations Club. We have a lot of good momentum there, and I'm also excited. This year will be my first year in music performance in chorus, and I play the violin, so that will be fun.
Busy lady.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you're a senior, correct?
Yes.
Okay. As of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Nora Walton, and so this year or tomorrow I'll be going into my junior year at Warwick as well. My main thing at Warwick is music, so I also do music performance. I'm in show choir and the main concert choir. Throughout middle school and high school, I've maintained Distinguished Honor Society, so that has been great. And then outside of school, I've really enjoyed dancing ballet at Victor Yelioan International Ballet Academy in downtown Lancaster. And so I've danced for 12 years. And so this year, I got the honor of becoming Clara in their 33rd Nutcracker. So that's just a little bit about me, but those are my interests. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Ladies.
Oh. And could you maybe just give a little brief explanation of why we have a junior and a senior sort of lined up in these two roles?
Yes, a couple of reasons. One of the reasons why is that we received so many outstanding applications. Was one of the dilemmas. And selecting just one individual when you had so many talented young people applying was a difficult decision. And more importantly, this program is a little different than what's been done in the past. And working with the school district administration, previous years, the term was only for half a year. So you have one representative for the fall semester and one for the spring semester. In coordination with the high school, they prefer to see a year-long experience, so it's consistent with the rest of their leadership opportunities at the school district. So that made sense. And also gives us a opportunity for a transition plan. So we have the primary representative and Nora serving as the alternate. So Nora will have an opportunity to learn and participate. And when she becomes a senior, assuming she has satisfactory performance, which I have no doubt that's going to occur, she will then become the representative next year. And then we will replace with an underclassman as the alternate.
Thank you. I think it's an excellent program to get back going again, and I can speak highly of it. I have two children that also were junior council people in the past, and I think they got a lot out of it. So we're looking forward to having you on board and you sharing your comments and getting updates from the school and everything else that's going on in your world at Warwick. Does anyone else have any questions for him? Someone spot a little bit more while they're sitting there? No. Yeah, I'm not going to ask the public if they want to ask you any questions. So I'm sure your parents would embarrass you a little too. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. And I don't, what your plan is for them during the
They will
meeting.
participate fully in the council meetings.
Okay,
Now they're officially sworn in.
sure. And are they going to stay seated where they're
We
at?
have to work the
Okay.
seating out. So for
Okay.
tonight, they're going to remain in the first row.
Okay, wonderful.
I was saying to Rob, I think because he used to sit up there.
Might have lost his.
I'm not going to kick Rob out.
There are a lot of tech responsibilities over there that none of us want to do. Okay, well, thank you very much. Excited to have you all aboard. So we are going to move on to our next presentation, which is the North Cedar Street traffic. And then Councilmember Carpenter, would you like to kick that one off?
Sure, yes. I'd like to have, Jay. There, come up forward if you would give us a little presentation. There you are, you're hiding.
Jay States is with Grove Miller. They're the borough's traffic engineer.
And I can promise that my presentation won't be as interesting as hearing about the junior council person. So I'll do my best. Like Scott mentioned, I'm Jay States with Grove Miller Engineering, a senior traffic engineer. What we were asked to do was to take a look at the intersection of North Cedar and New Street. Our task was to look at the multi-way stop control warrants for that intersection. PennDOT provides a traffic engineering form 102 that we typically use as a guidelines to evaluate many aspects of an intersection. So what we do for that location, we do some physical and some operational evaluations, whether there's turning movement constraints, whether there's some issues with parking, pedestrians, bicycles, just we kind of take a look at the whole intersection. Also part of that is we do some traffic counts and do some site distance measurements, some roadway measurements, and kind of gather a lot of data. For that intersection, we did some 12-hour counts, turning movement counts, so we can see if people are going left or right or straight through for all 4 approaches. And those counts were done in May of this year. In addition, I did some field measurements myself, doing some site distance measurements at the intersection. Typically, when you look at the multi-way warrants, you're looking at several different aspects. You're looking at, is there a crash history at that location? Is it a temporary condition that's ultimately going to be a traffic signal? You look at some traffic volume criteria. If you have a lot of traffic from all 4 of the legs, that creates an issue with the current situation, that can justify multi-way stop, as well as looking at some site distance restrictions. Kind of to parallel this, when we did the same project, multi-way stop study at 6th and Kissel Hill, that intersection had some crash history and had the volumes to require that intersection create a multi-way stop. The situation at North Cedar and New is that we have some significant site distance restrictions. We're required to measure at certain distances back from the edge of pavement, and the restrictions are obviously by the houses right at the intersection. Typically, if we can improve that site distance, if there's some ways we can improve it, whether it's be trimming some bushes, maybe taking some limbs down from a tree, restrict parking, then we typically go that route first. In this case, the houses are pretty much the cause of the sight distance. So based on that, we found that the intersection did meet the criteria for a multi-way stop. So what our recommendation would be to provide stop signs on all four approaches, have the placard underneath that says all way, some stop bars, 24-inch painted stop bars, and even some stop legends on those approaches. Typically what we've recommended too is because it's a new intersection control for motorists, we also look at putting some red beacons on the stop signs for at least 30 days just to alert them to some new traffic patterns in that area. In a nutshell, that's a quick condensed version of our study. Everything's documented in the criteria. Like I said, we use a PennDOT's TE form for all the traffic engineering studies, and we did the same with this project as well.
Thank you. And as a reminder, we had advertised at a previous meeting, ordinance 629, and now we're back for action on that this evening. We had talked about that before. So I think we have that ordinance in front of us this evening. And then we also wanted to add a discussion. We had a meeting in person at the intersection, and some comments were brought up about additional measures the neighbors might like to see. And we can ask Mr. States to talk to those maybe after we address this. But so we'll ask the members of council, do you have any questions related to the ordinance 629 that's in front of you this evening? Okay. If not, we'll ask the public if anyone would like to come up and speak related to this. Just come up and state your name and address and let us know your thoughts.
Hi, I'm Michelle Karen, 226 Noble Street. I am one of the regular pedestrians causing havoc on that intersection. I think it's a great idea. It's hard to see, it's just hard to see traffic. People aren't bad drivers. They just can't see who's standing in the intersection waiting to cross. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public related to this ordinance this evening? Sure.
How's it going?
Good.
Justin Walton, 123 North Cedar Street. So happen to be Norris Dad also. So we've lived on that street for 7 years, and we have 4 children, and there are 4 children across the street from us. There are 4 children 2 doors, 3 doors down from us, 2 children immediately next to us. And so there's a lot of kids on this street. Speed is a concern actually from top to bottom, so both directions. So leaving Front Street going up the hill towards Burnaville is a problem. People accelerate significantly coming out of that, going up the hill. People also seem to like to coast down hard to Front Street. So really it's both directions are a problem. There's also 2 parks. So over at Locust Street along New Street, as well as Dean Saylor. So kids are constantly moving back and forth between these locations. So not just across our street, but coming from the various areas, the east and west sides of Lititz on the north end. So there's a lot of traffic going back and forth. Our kids cross that to go see their friends on their bikes. Other kids come back across that street. So there is significant pedestrian traffic of the shorter variety. And honestly, even as a driver coming out of Cedar Lane on a new street, trying to make that first cross, it is pretty treacherous, quite honestly. And teaching my daughter how to drive right now, figuring out how to come out of that intersection, anticipating the speed of drivers coming down as well as the drivers coming up, that it's just challenging to see around that corner. I think the study reflects accurately that it's just really difficult to get out of the street safely. Not to mention the cross traffic. There is significant back and forth, vehicular as well as pedestrian. So there's a lot of complexity at that intersection. I think that could be reduced if there was some sense of security that people would actually slow down and stop there. Okay. So appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to make any comments related to this application?
Weibel, 202 North Cedar Street. I live in that house. I have 2 things, and so I'd like 2 3-minute blocks, please. This is a statement from Mr. and Mrs. Brandt, who live at 210 North Cedar Street. They're quite young, in their 80s, so it's a little bit difficult for them to come out. Friends have two comments overall. And first is that speeding starts at Newport Road and comes into town. They would like you to address this from the Warwick Township line coming all the way into Front Street and wonder why that's not being taken care of under the umbrella of this scenario. Secondly, they're wondering why it is that every other borough in the western part of Lancaster County has only 25-mile-an-hour speed limits on all their state roads. And yet we are somehow saddled with 35 miles an hour on Broad, the farther reaches of the borough. And also 40 north of Newport Road, it drops to 35 when you cross the intersection. And then finally it gets to 25 and people are not paying attention. So that is the commentary from Mr. and Mrs. Brandt. And I thank them for that. I would absolutely agree with them that speeding on this end of town is a little bit over the edge, and this one stop sign will do nothing at all. It will, however, help the folks on the first block up front. So brought to you, okay? That's all it's going to do. It's going to help them. We may actually see an increase in crashes because that is often what happens after you put in a four-way stop, evidenced at the library, and is always the case at Lincoln in North New Street. As a comment to the gentleman with the children, yep, we got a lot of kiddos there. Why have our crosswalks not been painted in over 2 years? It is absurd. Please get on it. You can't find the crosswalks in this intersection. So there absolutely has to be a better scenario there. Site problem, I would agree, is bad, but it can't be that bad because there aren't any accidents here. The chief and I have looked and we can now find 6 in 40 years that we can document. So something else is going on here, and I think it has to do with the upward trajectory from bottom of the points at Market and Lincoln, Water and Locust, where all of the old-fashioned points come from the Warwick Township map from back in the early 1900s. So if you could address that, I think it would go a long way. Not absolutely sure that we need a four-way stop yet, but perhaps we'll get there. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for your comments. Does anyone else have any comments related to this? I think we have, yep.
Hey there, Chris McGinn, 131 North Cedar Street. Yeah, that's it. Walk my dog, pretty perilous coming back across the street from I have friends that live in Warwick. We walk the dog over there, go see them, coming back home, going across. It's a roll of the dice, it feels like sometimes. And like, I'd rather keep my dog alive and myself in as well. Also, I have to come out of the same intersection as the previous gentleman, the same lane in the morning. It's so hard to see. Some people don't turn their lights on in the morning. What am I supposed to do? You just, get night vision goggles and sit there and wait. But yeah, no, I appreciate the attempt at safety here. So I'm here for it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your comments this evening. Anyone else in the audience? No? Anyone online? Rob? Oh, sorry. Oh, got one more.
My name is Cody Hostetter, 319 North Cedar Street. Out of the 3 of the 4 site parts of the intersection that were noted are site distance. 3 out of the 4 of the site distance are related to the buildings. We can't do anything about that. But one of the site distances that is noted is the one westbound on New Street looking north, which is only obstructed by parked vehicles. That is a correctable condition. It was never tested before the ordinance. The traffic study does not address the rest of the traffic where it goes. Once it is diverted, I personally have driven Cedar Lane end to end along Shank Lane, and none of it appears in the traffic analysis. Cedar Lane alone, I documented 0 sight distances at Front Street and 0 sight distances at New Street. 0 sight distance at Shank Lane, and there was no stop control at those intersections. So the residents that come out on Seaber, there is absolutely no way for you to see if you come that direction. I'm not asking the council to abandon the safety goal here. It is not my idea to not look at the safety here. I think everybody wants North Cedar Street and New Street to be safe. I'm asking that the final adoption at the borough evaluates that the parking restriction and account for where this traffic actually goes. That's consistent with the data-driven approach. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'll wait a second here if there's anybody else. No, not seeing anyone. So we have received some comments tonight, and we have an ordinance that was advertised in front of us, ordinance 629, to implement a 4-way stop at Cedar and New. Does anyone have a motion to make regarding that?
I can make a motion. And this is also for Pine Lane as well. So motion to approve ordinance 629, which is North Cedar, for a 4-way on North Cedar, and Pine Lane being a 1-way.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that ordinance passes. And then we did have a follow-up on some of the comments that were tonight and at the last public session related to looking north on Cedar. Yeah, looking north on Cedar and some possible things the council could choose to ask the traffic engineer to look at.
Yeah, I mean, our focus was obviously just on Cedar and New, but the intersection to the north at North Cedar, Lincoln and Noble, I don't expect that to meet the multi-way stop based on the volume because there's not much of a drop between those two intersections. We're not meeting the volume criteria at Cedar and New, but that intersection also has some skewed nature to it. And there's some language in the warrants that talk about left turn conflicts and just the alignment of the intersection as a possible consideration. So, I'm not saying that would be a multi-way stop for sure, but we could certainly look at that as looking at the criteria for that as you would come south on Cedar. There's other options, we could look at there, but that intersection, I believe, has three of the stops, but south on Cedar does not stop.
Yeah, the other 3 movements all do stop.
That tends to create a difficult situation because there's no other signs that say, opposing traffic does not stop. So there could create some confusion. I haven't looked at any crash information there, but we could certainly take a quick look at that intersection, expanding from this intersection to the north.
Sure. So if council would decide to carry the review of this corridor north, like was requested or suggested at the public meeting and was suggested in the document we were handed out tonight, and I think by one of the other comments this evening, we could decide to do that as a group and ask the engineer to move forward with some additional work. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I would support that.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Could that also include some parking
Sure.
restrictions?
And I think the interesting thing with going to the 4-way stop, which we just voted on, I think there's an opportunity to actually maybe add some parking back in particular at the intersection we just looked at.
Correct.
So we will look at that as part of the implementation of the stop signs, but would we need to make some sort of motion to authorize the engineer to do that? I'll look to my
All right.
left.
I'll make a motion to continue discussions.
Study, like authorize engineer to work on some
Okay, make
studies.
a motion to approve doing, having Grove do a traffic study at the intersection of, what all goes into that one? Noble, Cedar, and Lincoln. Okay,
Lincoln.
all right.
Good.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Is council agreeable to looking at some other possible options of addressing the traffic concerns on the north as part of that action? At least
Yeah.
And working with,
working with,
Touch up.
working with the engineer to look at other options. Sure, we can do that. And there was a comment brought up at the meeting this evening, and I believe at the public meeting about the crosswalks being updated. And I think that we will reach out to Public
Take care of that.
Works to see what their schedule is for those to make sure that that happens. So we'll ask staff, I'm looking at my left staff, to see if we can make sure that happens. So I want to thank everyone for their comments this evening, and I think we're going to keep moving forward to try and address the issues that we have out here. Thank you. Next, we have agreements. We have agreement 584, Sutter Meadow Sewer Acceptance. And I believe as this was described before, we were simply acting on this, but we'll move it to the authority for their final approval. So we would still need a motion to approve this agreement.
Make a motion to approve agreement 584 Sutter Meadows Sewer Acceptance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We also have a complimentary agreement 585 for the water acceptance.
I move to approve agreement 585, Sutter's Meadow Water Acceptance.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This is a tough one to say. Yeah. So we have a consent agenda in front of us this evening. If no one has any thoughts on removing any items from that, we will move with a motion for that.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we approve the consent agenda. Now we're on to the treasurer's report. And I think for this portion, we have the August MS4 invoices to approve under that.
Want to take that?
The invoices? I have nothing to add to my report, the treasurer's report.
Need to get those approved?
You would make a motion to approve those, yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the August DMA MS4 invoices.
Set motion in a second. I'll recuse myself. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the council members forum. I wanted to add on to this reaffirmation of the guiding principles. I think I'll look at council member Meck for maybe reviewing that. I think you were sort of a champion of that when it went through before.
Yes, you want me to review those? Or?
Just how we came up with those and sort of where we're at with them. And I think you have a prop to your right there, if it helps.
Yeah, I guess a couple of years ago, we agreed that council should look at some guiding principles that will guide our decision-making processes. We decided to add those to the back of the agenda. So if you look at that, we have those principles, and we look at each one of those and decide whether or not we are making decisions based on those principles. I think over this past couple of years, we've been doing well with that. Opportunity to highlight.
Great. I thought it was important. Half of us and the mayor, I don't believe were council when they were last brought up. So if we can update that date to reflect that this council is supportive of those, I think that those principles, I think that would be great. Does anyone else have any comments on that? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Next, we have streets and traffic.
Okay, I've got, I wanted to bring to council a, to advertise, a motion to advertise an ordinance amendment. This is ordinance 10512, and it is a draft that we want to advertise increasing fines for street permit violations up to $1,000 per occurrence. You want to speak on anything like that? You want to add anything, Chief? How we came up with? What was it before? Do you remind me?
That was me today.
I'm sorry. You know, he's like,
Currently it's $300.
okay,
And it's not per occurrence, it's total.
okay.
And this was the recommendation of Mike Davis, to increase it.
Anybody have any questions, council? No. All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve to advertise ordinance amendment 10512 for the street opening violations.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Advertising's approved. Next subcommittee report is from Personnel and Benefits.
Yes, I'm making a recommendation to appoint 2 individuals to the Civil Service Commission. Just to remind you, the responsibility of the Civil Service Commission is the examination of applicants for the police department here in the borough. The commission makes recommendations to the Lititz Borough Personnel Committee, and of course, the Lititz Borough Council approves the appointment to the Lititz Borough Police Department. The commission was very active in this past year, involving the last 2 appointments to the police department. So I've met personally with both of these individuals that I'm recommending. Both individuals have been active members of the commission and have really dealt with their responsibilities in a professional way. Therefore, I am recommending Terrence Duffy to a 3-year term on the Civil Service Commission effective September 31, 2026.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved?
Secondly, I'm recommending Harry R. Gibble to a 3-year term on the Civil Service Commission effective September 31, 2026.
Do we have-
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Both of those are approved. We're very fortunate to have such qualified individuals to serve on our committees and to agree to come back after they served once or twice or 10 times. So next is buildings and grounds.
Yeah, so I have to advertise a bid for the police department office HVAC upgrade. The upgrade has been needed for some time, and the potential costs have been included in the budget for 2026. The police department leadership and the borough staff have identified the particular line items needed for the upgrade. These cost estimates will be considered when a bid is presented to the council. So I would like to note that a motion to advertise a bid for the police department's HVAC system for upgrades to the system.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Done.
I think there was one more on there. The Memorial Lot Phase 1.
You know, we have a Revolutionary War memorial here in the borough. We have a park called the Revolutionary War Memorial Park, owned by the park. It's located on East Main Street between Oak and Elm Street. The Park Committee has prioritized the upgrade of this park for this year, and we've solicited bids for the first phase of the project. Phase will include some greenery and some tree planting and some grading in the park. This will make the park more accessible to the public, upgrade the park. By the way, there are Revolutionary War people buried there that were hospitalized at in the Moravian Hospital. So they're there at the park. So we want to honor those people by actually increasing the look of that park. So I'm making a recommendation to approve a bid, $21,465.45 for phase one to upgrade the Revolutionary War Park. This bid has been reviewed by the borough engineer, borough staff, and the park.
Okay. Second now. Second. Those in favor? Just for attendance, if you don't know, because I don't think many people do. If you go east on Main Street, when you get to the log cabin, right on the east side of that is this park that we're talking about. It was a park. I don't think the borough knew it was a borough park up until a handful of years ago. It's a little confusing, but there's a memorial for these veterans, and there are also memorials there for veterans of other wars that served that were from the borough. So again, the goal of this is to recognize it as give it really recognition that it deserves, and to improve it a little bit more for the residents of the borough. And this is a multi-phase project. We're looking at least 4 phases? It's between 3 and 4 phases until the project's done. We also work to clean up some trees to the rear that have become dangerous, that were in danger of falling over. That was done last year. Now this year is sort of an accessibility and starting at the front and working our way back. So take a look at the park. If you're over that way on a walk, stop in, say hi. Report of the mayor and the chief. We'll start with the mayor this evening.
Sure, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the council for approving on a consent agenda the Lititz Lions Halloween Parade. I never want to miss an opportunity to shout out to our 4 service clubs in the community: the Lititz Lions, the Ambucks, the Kiwanis, the Rotary. These folks do amazing things for our community, and I think makes Lititz such a special place. But most importantly, they're struggling with volunteers. So if there's an opportunity out there for the public to learn more about these clubs, I want to make sure that we provide that opportunity because we want to keep these events going in our town, and these clubs need help. Just a handful of people make these things happen. So we need more volunteers to step up and reach out to these service clubs. If you don't know how to the public, if you don't know how to do that, contact my office. I will gladly put you in touch with any one of these clubs so we can make sure we have things like the craft show and the Halloween parade and the chocolate walk and Kids Day in the park and the antique show, and it goes on and on. Good to see these events continue to happen. With that, I'll turn this over to the chief.
Good evening. The first thing I was going to touch on was just an update to the Park Mobile implementation. I believe it was about 2 months ago at council, I gave a rough presentation as far as the work that had been done up until that point, and then also the next steps. Everything is projecting to still be on schedule. This week, on Thursday, the 2 kiosks will be installed. They won't be operational immediately. We'll make sure that it's obvious not to use them, not to pay them in the meantime, but at least they're getting installed, tested to make sure everything is working the way that it should. Staying on schedule, we're looking at the week of Labor Day, which is when Public Works would go remove the existing parking meter heads that are on all the posts, replace them with the park mobile signs. And within that week, assuming they can get all that work done, we'll be ready to fully cut over to the park mobile system. So ahead of that, we'll make sure there's clear messaging on social media, websites, etc., as far as the methods to pay for the park mobile whether you're paying at the variety of options at the space or whether you're using a kiosk, and just making sure everybody clearly understands what the new system is, how it operates, and go from there. So everything is on pace. If there's any questions with that, I'd be happy to answer it.
No, we're really happy that it's going to come to reality here soon.
The next item, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Mike Smith and Dwayne Ober from WESC to come up and join me, just simply because I'm going to invoke their names here. I wanted to do, or we wanted to do just a brief presentation on the special events to piggyback off of what the mayor said. A lot of work goes into the background preparing for the events. We've been very collaborative over many years, the police department, WESC, fire company, ambulance, borough leadership, in partnership with the event sponsors who come and host these events. If you recall, the end of last year, we adopted a revision of the special events ordinance. And essentially what that had done is it formally incorporated a lot of the policies and procedures that have been implemented for many years. It just put them into writing. So, you know, we have a little bit of history now with that new ordinance and those new procedures. The borough's emergency operations plan was also updated a couple of months after that. So all of this ties into special events. So we wanted to just do a quick recap. We had a lot of special events this year. We're on the heels of some of our biggest ones over the 4th of July and the craft show. So Rob, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So I'm not going to get into everything here, but really what the intent of the ordinance revisions, just as a very quick recap, is to make sure that police, fire, EMS, public works, borough leadership, the event sponsors, we're all working towards the same goal, making sure that we're shoring up the safety of these events, whether it be making sure that the access to them are properly controlled, especially with the street closures. We had a lot of history to draw on. Collectively between the emergency services, we've seen what's worked well and what needed improvements. So it was really just taking all of that historical knowledge and applying it to, you know, what we've learned and what we want to see going forward. So again, some of the really major topics were crowd safety, crowd movement, and also planning for contingencies, because unfortunately, you don't have to look very far. You can see instances where an errant driver, whether it's a medical issue or an intoxicated driver or some sort of improvised weapon using a vehicle, penetrates these events, and it's just a bad day for everybody involved. So we've been very intentional about focusing our efforts to those areas for safety. So Rob, if you don't mind going to the next. So a lot of what was incorporated with the revision of the special event ordinance had been practices that we'd been doing for many, many years. That formalized it. Like I said, there's a wide range of mitigation plans, from weather events to accidental events to domestic terrorism type activities. So we have incorporated a lot of those plans into place. Now, thankfully, there's not been many instances to have to put those plans into place. 2026 changed that because we had 2 significant weather events at 2 of our most recent large public events. So it took conceptually what we had on paper, what we drilled for, what we planned for, and stress tested those plans. And I'm happy to report that through all those meetings, those collaborations, and all those months leading up to the events, that the plans worked as they were intended to do. And I wanted to highlight that because it's so rarely seen outside of the emergency services and the event sponsors. You know, oftentimes the public doesn't see those plans. They don't realize the work that goes into it on the back end. But I think it's important to highlight that all those plans are in place, because, but not for those plans, we couldn't safeguard those events. Rob, if you don't mind. So this was, you know, just a highlight of, again, some of the observations, some of the plans in action for the 2 most recent big special events. Obviously, weather emergencies. This is a picture of the weather as it impeded upon the craft show. We activated shelter-in-place plans, emergency shelter locations, getting ready to move crowds to places of safety based off of emerging weather conditions. Again, that was monitoring weather in the hours leading up to, but then also, the pop-up type storms and the short-term forecasts that weren't forecasted earlier in the day. So, again, very few instances that we've had to in the past actually stand up these shelter plans and these crowd movement plans. We did it twice this year with notable successes. Rob, if you don't mind. Again, I also touched on hardening of the event perimeters. That's a lot of partnerships between Public Works, other private groups like Roar's Quarry, who generously donates the use of their trucks to make these events safe, to prevent against vehicles intruding into those footprints. And it also included taking a look at some of the legacy footprints and ways crowds moved into the events, where these events are, how event groups who are participating in the events move and set up. So it was really a holistic view at trying to make sure that we're looking at every angle to public safety and not just hyper-focusing on one issue.
How did the new pattern of the craft show this year work out for you guys and for fire and everybody?
That's on the next slide.
Yay. Yeah, I knew that.
So if you look at this, that maroon type bend is the new footprint of the craft show. So one of the things that we've seen year over year was limited access north of town, because the previous footprint ran from the square on East Main Street all the way down to Oak Street. So the only northbound and southbound access that we had was Oak Street, 2nd Avenue, going up like towards Bondfield. That road's not meant for that volume of traffic that you normally have. All the northbound traffic on Broad, on Cedar, on Lemon, on Locust, getting all pushed to that street. So one instance of a car crash, one instance of an oversized truck that missed the detour that pulls down a utility line or a tree branch that closes that one north and south route, we've cut the town in half. So we realized we needed a solution to the northbound access. So one of the things that we did this year was there was no stands on the north side of the square. That was an emergency access route for all emergency vehicles, police, fire, EMS, etc. So what happened on the craft show at just before 11 a.m., 17 North Lane, so if you're not familiar with that, it's basically right behind Becca Fico in the alleyway there. A 56-year-old female witnessed collapse, cardiac arrest, not breathing, no heartbeat. Responders were able to access that alley via Broad Street, got there literally within minutes, pre-hospital CPR, pre-hospital AED shock, other advanced life support. Thankfully, she was revived. She was transported to the hospital and later walked out. So that was in part, that quick response made possible because the responders at the firehouse and roughly in the area of the square were able to get to that area very quickly. And Rob, if you don't mind going to the next slide. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the screen grab on the left is from drone surveillance of that incident, just to showing all the emergency responders converging. If you look at the map, so I'll reference that same burgundy type bend is the event footprint for this year. If you look at the black extensions, both on North Broad Street and on East Main Street, that represents the historical footprint of the craft show. So to be able to access where that cardiac arrest victim was at that little pinpoint, the historical route for emergency vehicles, you can see following the red dotted line, leaving the fire company, going all the way down Spruce Street to 2nd Avenue to Broad Street and over to Oak Street, all the way down front, down Cedar to that. That would have been the only way from the firehouse that we could have gotten emergency responders there. You can almost literally see that location from the fire company. So, and again, also keep in mind, with that one road being the detour route, we're competing with every other vehicle that's trying to get north and south through town. This year, as you can see, it might be a little bit difficult. The gold dotted line represents the vehicular access from the fire company to where that cardiac arrest victim is. Now, granted, that's very close, but that same route could have been used for anything north of town. What that eliminates for us is having to stage fire and EMS resources north of town, waiting for a call to be up there. But then the other problem is to think about, zooming out from the event, a car accident just north of town, a medical emergency that the ambulances have to get south to Lancaster City to the hospitals, or whether it be UPMC down in Warwick Township, they would have no way directly through town to do that. So this new layout also permits northbound emergency vehicles to get through to the southbound or the south side of town in a more efficient manner. So Rob, if you don't mind going to the next. So one of the things that we also have been trying to stress is, the event in town consumes a lot of services, right? It brings a lot of people in, but everything else that happens in town does not stop either. Routine calls for service happen, additional people coming into town, they all use our roads, have occasion to increase need for police, fire, and EMS. So these numbers here are just a snapshot of the last two big events, not every event that we've hosted this year, but just the 4th of July activities and the craft show. You can see a breakout of the calls for police inside and outside the event, also fire and EMS, and that's just during the event hours. So it does not include, the hours leading up to the start of the event and the hours after the event. So I put this up here to simply illustrate the point that while we focus a lot of time, effort, and planning into the actual event itself, life outside of the event in the borough does not cease to exist, right? We still have to maintain an operational capacity to respond to all those routine day-to-day incidents that happen with no connection to the event. So I think these numbers illustrate kind of that holistic view of public safety, even while the event's going on. Rob, if you don't mind. So this is really what it comes down to. Public safety can't be the result of lucky outcomes. There's really a lot of planning that goes into place. Those plans were shored up over the last year with the revision of the special events ordinance, the revision of the emergency operations plan, reaffirming collectively the emergency services serving the borough are engaged with each other, Public Works, Council, the mayor, again, even the event sponsors who participate in the planning leading up to the event. So I say all that to just illustrate that everything that we've come and we've talked about, we've asked and we've theorized would work a certain way is going well. We're happy to report on some of these outcomes. Obviously, more events are to come. We'll continue to monitor progress, look at new ways of doing things if we think it's necessary, but that's why we're here. I just thought it was important to share that. Dwayne and Mike through WESC, Dwayne specifically has his role as the borough's emergency management coordinator. We talk, it seems like sometimes 3 to 4 times a day, but again, we're all on the same page. So I just asked them to come up because they may have other pieces to offer. And they're certainly an active piece in the public safety picture for the borough. So I just thought it was important they're here as well.
Hey, thank you for the presentation and all the efforts. So I'd like to open it up if you guys have anything you want to add.
Yeah, I just want to add 2 things. The first one was Jared had just a couple snapshots of the images. The one was the weather, the other was the drone footage from the cardiac arrest. I just want to recognize and thank the board of the Lititz Fire Company. Dwayne and I approached them 2 years ago, and we knew that there was a need to have better space to be able to have coordinated command efforts and those types of things. We presented that board with a proposal to do some physical upgrades at the fire station, as well as some technology upgrades. They supported that request with over $65,000 invested, and the result was what we were able to make use of here. So the snapshots don't do it justice. I know a couple of you have actually physically been in the room. So, the physical like painting and new furniture is just one aspect. The technology though is pretty amazing. So the weather component was huge at the craft show. The drone capabilities that we now have, huge. Those guys were sitting in the command center, basically watching, every push during the CPR effort on North Lane. So pretty impressive. And again, I just want to recognize that board because we rely on them a lot and they're so extremely supportive of what we do. The second thing is then, Jared mentioned the CPR save on North Lane during the craft show. That is actually, believe it or not, one of 5 CPR saves that we've had here in this region over the last 3 months. So that's not normal. we're definitely happy to be atypical in that regard. There's a lot that goes into that, a lot of training, a lot of having resources in the right places at the right time. And we definitely hope that we stay atypical on that. So we're going to continue to do that. But I definitely want to call out the emergency services because that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Couple of things I'd like to talk about is, like Jared mentioned, we work on these plans. You know, we keep improving them over the years. And, you know, to be fair, like this goes back into Chief Nye's tenure and stuff. Like we've always been working on these plans and getting better at them. The one thing that we literally can't control is the weather. And we had 2 major events this year. I mean, the craft show, or the fireworks was definitely the major event. The craft show was rain, but our plan had contingencies of what to do. And to be honest and upfront with you guys, the fireworks storm led to more lessons learned for us to improve that when the craft show came, we were able to respond even better. So that's one thing that all of us, I mean, we're always looking at how we can improve, what we can do differently, and how we can make it better. And I think our plans are great, but we have a lot of good leadership in all of our departments that make it work. And I think that's important that we're not stagnant. Like it's not just a paper plan. We are definitely working on it. It's just and just to back up to the fireworks. I mean, Rich is here. We're all disappointed about the fireworks. We had planned for the 9:30 storm coming. You know how we can get the fireworks off earlier. That one at 7 o'clock was a pop-up. And if the people in the audience or yourselves aren't aware, like we're watching weather warnings and weather watches, and we had a watch and we're like, okay. And then that warning gave us less than 20 minutes to react. So, like I said, we were prepared. It's just that pop-up storm really came at us. So, but I think all emergency services did a great job. And I want to echo what Mike said. And it is Lititz Borough Police, Lititz Fire, and Warwick Ambulance, but the amount of CPR saves in the recent months is just incredible. Like we've had some ceremonies to recognize it, but I mean, that one at the craft show, she had no heart rate. And like I said, she was being driven into the hospital alive. So very impressive by the players involved on every situation that we've had. I mean, very great job. So thank you.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for all you guys do. And it's great to hear how one experience you keep learning. Like you said, it's fluid. It's not we wrote a plan, we're sticking to it, but each event teaches you something and you work it into the next one. And then to see it that quickly go from the fireworks to the craft show to be able to implement those changes must be kind of rewarding. So, does anyone on council have anything they'd like to say?
I mean, other than with meetings with you guys and sitting down and learning as much as I can, and as overwhelming as it is to when you look at all the moving parts, like you said, not just inside the events, but you have the obligation to everybody outside. So it's huge when you sit there and hear about the incidents and how you're trying to work yourself around town to get the people. So I just think you guys, should get all the praise you deserve, because you guys are, like you said, you're not stagnant. You're sitting there, you're not complacent. You're trying to figure out how can we keep everybody safe and how you can do your job better. So kudos to you guys. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank goodness you changed the route, because that lady may not have made it if you would have had to go the other way that you showed. So awesome. I didn't even know it rained here. I was out of state.
I think we're very fortunate in Lititz to have the kind of leadership that's displayed here. Wayne said we've had a chance to meet with people to kind of to review what went on, and I've appreciated the thoughtfulness, the professionalism, and the thinking ahead about what our other options continue to make our community safe, not only for what the events that happen in the borough, but outside of the borough that you're responsible for. So we're very fortunate. So again, council, appreciate your leadership and your attention to keeping our communities.
Thank you.
On a related note, I don't know if you saw the report came out 2 weeks ago from realtor.com. Lititz was named as the 7th most desirable place to live in the United States. Now, there's no doubt that public safety is a big part of that. Our events are a big part of that, affordability, and of course, the charm of our downtown merchants. I see Venture Lititz here in the audience as well. All those things working together has, again, put us on the national map of most desirable places to be. So, thank you to all those involved for making this a great town.
Thanks.
Dwayne, while you're up, did you want to speak about the
flyer?
Yeah, the flyer.
I was going to come up and do that later, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
do
do
it
it.
now
There you go.
quick.
No,
So in addition to the other hats I wear, I'm the vice chairman on the Veterans Honor Park of Lancaster County Committee, and we are hosting, through WESC, we are hosting the 9/11 ceremony on Saturday, September 12th. It starts at 8 a.m. Just people wonder, we start early with the goal that the end of the ceremony is about the time that the first tower was hit, and it normally works out about that way. But this year's speaker is a retired colonel from the U.S. Army who was in the Pentagon when the plane struck the building. And he would have been in the area where the plane struck if it wasn't for a phone call from his son that pulled him away. So we feel very good about an interesting story that he's going to share with us at the ceremony. And as we always do, we recognize local first responders, one from police, fire, and EMS. So I really encourage all of you to attend if you're able to, and to the audience as well.
Hey, thank you. And as a reminder, there's flyers over there if you want to pick one up to keep it on your mind as you get closer to the date. Hey, thanks a lot for coming out tonight and spending a little bit of time with us.
I had nothing else for the police report unless there were some questions from council.
No?
Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thanks.
And we have managing director reports. Do either of our managing directors have anything to add this evening?
I'll keep it brief. Runabout Line pre-con meeting is scheduled for early September. And we were fully funded for our Green Lake Go requests for traffic signal upgrades throughout the borough. So you'll be seeing radar detection going up probably in the next few years.
And that was a nice grant in the amount of
330,000. So we originally put in, which had a 20% match, and then we were informed that it's going to be a no match grant.
Yeah. So and some state money our way.
I just have, actually from Tyler's report, he wanted me to let council know that the storm cleanup from July 4th around the Butterfly Acres is not done yet because of all the wet ground there in Butterfly Acres. So we wanted you guys to make sure you're aware.
I think we've had one of the wettest Augusts on record, I believe. So that will slow down work in the floodplain for sure. Okay. Do we have any comments from anyone in attendance this evening? Sure. If you want to come up and state your name and your address.
Good evening. Jack Paris, 329 Front Street. I'm also on the Borough Zoning Board. I know the borough's put a lot of thought and attention into the street paving plan, and Front Street just was done literally 2 weeks ago here. Unfortunately, it's not working out quite as well as everyone would think, given how smooth and quiet it is now. When they were laying down when they were grinding, before they put the base down, I didn't think they went down far enough on grinding the road. But after putting the base and the top coat on, curbing along my section of the street is 2 inches. And after the storm this past weekend, if we had any type of debris on the road, leaves or whatever, that water would have flown over even more than it had from the storm that came through. And I think the borough, according to what I found on the borough, curbs are supposed to be 6 inches above the road surface. So this is brand new, and both sides of the street, curbing average height is like 2 inches with 18-inch curb buried. So something needs to be fixed before it gets too bad, because water was just flowing down the sidewalks on both sides of the street. So that's all I
Okay.
say.
Thank you. I was taking some notes on that. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to make this evening? I see a hand in the back. Ron? Oh.
Dave Carson, 220 East Sixth Street. I didn't realize that Butterfly Acres is still a floodplain, number one, but I just wanted to follow up at last month's budget meeting, which I attended. I'm glad, I hope you think I'm glad I'm interested. And the budget numbers for the annual, I didn't really I couldn't really remember those. And I went back and looked on the website, and the numbers that are on the budget for the website versus what he talked about were changed. And I saw in the minutes there was an addition for revenue and expense. So I'm requesting that that budget maybe be updated. There's $160,000 more revenue added and $10,000 of expenses. I can send this to you. So the numbers on the budget line don't agree with what your mid-year numbers were, because there were some last minute additions. So just for sake of, so it's all the same, I'd appreciate that. So I do look at that. I know other people look at it as well. And I wasn't here. I was where I heard the woman speak about the library referendum, and obviously that's something you can't control. But I would suggest potentially that the council think about that in their budget process, because if that goes through, potentially that's going to have an impact on the borough residents, taxes going up, which obviously you can't control that referendum. But the borough is already projecting a $508,000 deficit. So, if we have to increase taxes because of that, and then there's this additional real estate tax because of the referendum for a library, I think that's something that should be considered. So I think the referendum election is on November 3rd. So I think your November 10th or 9th, whatever it is, budget meeting. So I just ask if that be considered. And one last thought, before I read in the Lititz record that Dave Carson is against libraries. I'm not against libraries. I made a comment a few years ago about the police, and all of a sudden the Lititz record said I wanted to defund the police. Totally. I support the police. I support the library. I also support the taxpayers being able to pay this. I mean, I think that I kind of agree with one of the persons who mentioned earlier that maybe the library should be looking to the people that use it more to pay towards the increased cost, especially since the borough did increase our per capita contribution by $1 per person last year. So the borough is stepping up, number one. And also they did spend a lot of money on their improvements down there that, maybe that's a contributing factor to why they're having some issues. I don't know. But hopefully I don't see in the Lititz record that Dave Carson is against the library. I support the library. I support the taxpayers as well. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Scott, can I?
Oh, sure. Sure. We have
I actually wanted to bring this up too. So I'm the library liaison, and recently they appointed me to the library board since I've been showing up to the meeting so much. But I joked I was the diversity hire because I'm the only man on the board. So, but yes. So one of the sort of sweeteners to sort of get the municipalities to support the referendum, and I think Carolyn did mention it, was that essentially we would not contribute anymore because it would come from the taxpayers. So that 56,000, I assume, we would move that to from the library to other areas.
Okay. Hey, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Does anyone else in the audience have any comments to make? I believe we have another one.
Weibel, 202 North Cedar. I just want to make two comments on your agenda. I'm all for consent agenda because Scott, you and I spent a lot of time going through special events, and God knows, Tanea, this is nothing like we used to read. You know that.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to make a comment about combining things into one ordinance number, because quite frankly, you don't allow things to be separated. And Scott, you didn't do this knowingly, but tonight you usurp anybody's ability to have public comment on the Pine Lane amendment. So when you put the four-way stop in Pine Lane in one ordinance, there's no way to separate those. You've already advertised them. The same thing happens above in the downtown solar and the accessory. You can't separate those. You have advertised them as one ordinance. So please separate this stuff out so it's more clear. Secondly, when you write change orders, can you at least put the percentage of the change order up and down? Because we have no idea. Did you save money? Did you spend money? What happened? I don't need to know the particulars. I'm sure Dave would love to know, but I don't need to know the particulars, but I want to know, did we save 20%? Did we spend 50% more? So that's that. And then also, your legal ads say that your ordinances are online. I don't know where the heck they are. So maybe you could put those, if a council meeting is coming up, maybe you could put those on the front page so that people can follow that. Because I mean, I helped write some of these ordinances I couldn't find. So if you would,
I can do that.
I'm going at both ends here because I know you guys split this up. So that's it. Thanks.
Hey, thank you for your comments. Anyone else this evening? Oh, we have one in the back.
Hi, Rich Mose, 659 Laurel Avenue, and I'm also president of the park. I just want to thank, we've had some incidences in the park lately, mainly with e-bikes, and I know it's a problem with all over the town. It's all over everything. They're even going down our street now. In the park, they find that they think that they can go all over the grass and all over because they're not in a public place. And unfortunately, it doesn't work. I was at a concert a few weeks ago in the park, and this kid came down so fast, I went right in front of him, and he still just shot right around me. But I think we're handling it. Thanks to the police department, they did a wonderful job today. They actually, not only did they catch the kid that was doing it, who was on an illegal bike, but the way he handled all the other kids was just perfect. Okay, he talked to them. There was about 12 kids on regular bicycles and then one kid on an e-bike. But the kids all talked to the kid on the e-bike, and they got him to actually come back because he did flee the police even after he had his bullhorn out there, I think it was. But in any case, he did a wonderful job, and I think we're just going to continue on. But I think we all have to just watch what happens in town because these e-bikes are going way more than 20 miles an hour. They've got way too much power, and the officer said that this particular one had somewhere around a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. It was not a pedal bike. It was still electric, but very powerful. So, thank you.
Hey, thank you for all you do at the park and for your comments. And the e-bike issue is definitely on our radar. We just had a discussion a couple of days ago with the chief, and it's on he's talking with other chiefs around the county about how we can all work together to try and address the safety concerns of these bikes on the roads, on the sidewalks. I'm in front of making sure we're looking at how we help to provide education and maybe some enforcement on the riding on the sidewalks and all of that. So I appreciate your comments and feel for you with the damage as the work you're trying to do over there at the park. But we as a group here are aware of it too and are struggling and trying to figure out ways to address it. So I still have one more comment in the back. Ron? Yeah.
Jerry.
If you could just say your name quick and address.
My name is Ron Rhoda at 114 East 6th Street. Jerry, why do you use the civil service capacity to hire people? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's an official state rule and regulation that we have a group of people called the Civil Service Commission that vets police officers that apply for a police officer position. You want to say anything more about that?
The Civil Service Commission is actually a Pennsylvania legal mandate. It is required upon all cities, all boroughs, and all townships of the first class. They oversee the hiring of police officers and paid firefighters if the municipality has a paid fire company. Again, beyond the legal requirement, They vet applicants for entry-level positions. They vet applicants for promotion. They also address matters of discipline, demotion, termination, other discipline that would come up through the police department. It is a Pennsylvania law. It's not something any municipality that's subject to the law say we're not going to participate in. That's the reason why.
So stay here. So Jerry, if I know you through the rec, you couldn't just appoint me to this commission or to this position? Am I following that correctly? Okay, and the reason for the civil service is for what reason? To make sure that these people are qualified? Is that correct?
Sure, they are charged by law to administer the hiring process, the promotional process, the discipline process. So those municipalities that are required to operate under a civil service model, again, boroughs, cities, and townships of the first class, that responsibility for those employment actions are mandated to be upon the Civilian Oversight Board, which is different than Borough Council. So the Civil Service Commission does all the groundwork, present their findings and recommendations to the Borough Council, then Borough Council acts on those recommendations.
Thank you. I have one final question. Is there any way that we could have a telephone town hall meeting where residents of Lititz can call in and ask a variety of questions? For instance, election security, affordability, things that are going on with police, security, fire. Could we do something like that? Is that, Scott, am I asking something that we couldn't do?
I know, I mean, right now you have the opportunity to ask your questions in this forum, and this is something where we have residents like that, or where we have our police chief, we have fire, we have other people here. If there were particular issues that wanted to be addressed by a group, I'm sure we could arrange a discussion if we were able to focus that discussion probably a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out. I'm just, because there's so many issues coming about, and particularly now. And the civil service was, I thought, important because we need to make sure that the people that are in charge are qualified. So thank you. Thank you, officer.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? If not, I think we have one more matter to attend to this evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank everyone for coming out this evening and for helping us to have a successful meeting.